Welcome everyone to this session. I'm super excited to have you guys here for this webinar on what we view as the future of design intelligence here at xfigura. Today we're going to be joined by BIG Architects and Zaha Hadid Architects, and we're going to be hearing some insights of how they're engaging with AI workflows in concept design stages internally using this tool. And I'll then give a quick overview and some insights of some of our latest updates. And I'll give you a live demo just to give you a glimpse of how to use these in practice. And we'll end the session with a brief Q&A. A brief introduction about myself. So I am the founder and CEO of xfigura. I'm an architect by training. I went to the Architecture Association, to Harvard, worked multiple years at Foster's, worked at the MIT Media Lab. So I bring both this technical side, but also this A for architecture, this design creative side as well. And it's been really fun to integrate all of these AI-aided workflows into a consolidated platform here at xfigura. And I'm really glad to be joined by some of our incredible and growing team of 10 from our latest launch. We launched the platform 6 months ago, and it's been an incredible journey since. So you can see xfigura as an infinite canvas or a mirror-like platform where we centralized about 50 of the best generative AI tools across text, image, video, and 3D. The intention of it is to really leverage the best tools out there and bring you all into a collaborative space where you can share, you can post, and you can ideate across concept design stages. The idea of the platform is to give you full creative control and visibility of that AI-aided design process in bringing your own images, your own sketches, your own textures. This also extends into 3D through speckle integrations. We now have a Rhino plugin. We have a lot of interoperability tools with 3D workflows. We at xfigura, our mission is really to empower architects, designers, and creative teams with AI native tools that enhance and not replace human creativity. So with that, I'd love to introduce our first speakers today from the BIG team. First, we have Herman from Barcelona, and he's the Director of Digital Technology at BIG. He's based in Barcelona, and he leads the innovation side from BIM to computation to AI integration across all global projects. With that, I'll pass it on to you, Herman. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. I will start sharing the screen. And thanks for having us. I mean, together with me is also Anna from the New York office, in which we're going to share a little bit how we've been using, actually our take on AI at the firm, how we see and implemented AI, and actually xfigura as a way to deliver all of this intelligence augmentation through all big steps at the company, right? So the topic of this one is about design augmentation at BIG. And then on the last 5 years, artificial intelligence and machine learning started actually popping almost like an extra sphere across our design technology ecosystem. And very rapidly we started realizing there was not just an extra sphere, but actually started, hybridizing through all the different fields, through BIM, through computation, fabrication. It actually keeps evolving. And all the things I want to show you now is actually how AI has been coupled very well with visualization and storytelling as part of the process. The journey started more than 5 years ago, in which we call it like the AI explosion. And the last years has been a huge amount of new platforms and technologies, actually a very overwhelming amount that actually we started exploring and I'm trying to understand how this can help us design better. Then we start internally a process of, testing and filtering the tools that actually help us design better buildings. And then we start a process of curation, where we started, encapsulating the tool that works best for us, and trying to standardize it at the company. But we find ourselves having still many multiple tools and platforms and logins and sort of all of these nightmares that actually most of the companies face today. And there's also when xfigura sort of filled that pain point very well and help us to actually consolidate multiple tools and multiple platforms into a single space. And then I love this one, so sort of become like one platform to not to rule them all, but actually to augment them all. I mean, to empower all designers and architects at BIG and supercharge them with all of these different tools and processes into a single space. And then xfigura allow us to then stop talking about models and tools and platforms and start talking about workflows. So we created a series of workflows throughout the entire company that allow a designer to use AI efficiently and meaningful in a project, from be able to go from sketches to ideas, to do material exploration, to do typology exploration, space ideation, and so on, right? So all of these workflows are the ones that then we put it at the fingertips of all Bigsters. And this is now sort of, a designer in action into xfigura, using our sort of a sample board, an enterprise board we have put together, where they can see all the workflows at once, and then use them as an elevated plateau to start the design journey. Each one of these that you see on the screen becomes a workflow on which we can also then, thanks to all the data we got from xfigura, we can then fully monitor, but not to control, but actually to understand, what are the models that people use the most, what are the most used workflows, how do people engage with the tools, and really get full sort of usability and usage actually throughout the entire, through the 800 people that we have at BIG. For this, we have created all of these different workflows, which now, thanks to the sort of enterprise toolset that we have at xfigura, allow us to push all of these workflows to all the Bigsters. So anyone can just choose any of these ones and then bring it to their own workflow, and then be able to explore all of these ideas, sketch to render, rhino to render, change the lighting, change the position, change the season, and start being actually more surgical about working on our images and exploration, be able to change typologies, material, facade, vegetation, be able to change material without affecting the design that we have actually very carefully crafted, and even all the way to actually engaging with a model shop and fabrication specialists to be able to then use AI to design the physical models and how do we want them to look like, and sort of define the journey. They'll be able to elevate the project to create new synthetic positions, synthetic cameras, as we call them, to explore new ideas for the project. And then most recently also to be able to even generate conceptual drawings. So this shows incredible flexibility and power of a model like Nano Banana to be able to synthesize an image so well into very clean and simple lines, which works extremely well for concept drawings. And also be able to then even take a bunch of images and generate an incredible rhino model. And then also very excited about this, how this 3D models is not just a single mesh, but it's also getting segmented, becomes slowly into more usable 3D model. So all of these workflows we were shown, we also managed to ground them through our design process. So at BIG, we have a very well-defined 8-week design process. And then each one of these workflows, we started it connected with different stages of this design process to enable designer not to tell them when do they need to do the thing, when do they need to do this, but actually to give them the option, the opportunity to explore certain ideas further using these workflows and using xfigura. So now we'll pass it now to Anna, that will actually show us how all of this has been using on projects in a way to help designers augment their explorations. Thank you.
Sure. So as you can see, adopting all these AI efforts have been multiple angles effort, basically on the last couple of years. And it has been a combination of design technology teams and also designers having to balance learning curves, testing new tools, documenting the best workflows we found, and then sharing it with our colleagues. All that while we've been creating all the incoming tools in balance with our design culture. But specifically to this last point on design culture, most of us might be familiar with BIG's recognizable DNA, in which during early design stages, we rely in very rigorous design processes with endless iterations, geometry studies, trying to merge seemingly incompatible ideas and exploring multiple options at once. Like we really rely on diagrams, fast prototyping, rapid visualization, and narratives to explore these ideas and the opportunities they offer. And we test and discard until the best idea survives. And basically, AI tools having a means of augmenting these processes now we explore workflows to support our design tasks, but also find some newness within our core design methods. So we see AI more as augmentation rather than just replacing tasks or replacing the existing tools we have at the office. Just to give you an idea, some of the things we do or how we would use tools in a project. We have an example here. We cannot, of course, share like real projects for a matter of confidentiality, but normally if we would start using AI tools, and specifically all the opportunities that xfigura has open, we could easily start from a sketch or from a Rhino screenshot, and then start applying materials or testing different facades over the same massing, trusting that actually our geometry intent will be respected, and study and visualize earlier in the process how this would look like. The same way that different models could predict different angles of the shape and still keep it consistent along the way. And we could even quickly jump into producing a video or a video to support our narrative and see how this could be presented in different in a different setting with a client, for instance. We're leaving this video run, but it's quite exciting and seeing how the video could predict the same volume from different angles with a high level of consistency. But further, you could also go into more or start seeing more technical levels of drawing, or at least a start to it. And from an image, we could jump rapidly into a 3D model, section it, and start understanding the space that it's generating, but also get some more ideas on how 2D layout would look like, or a section would look like, and identify opportunities for different ways to solve the structure, what type of materials could respond to specific structure, etc. Which then leads us to another interesting topic, which has been the explorations within bridging this gap between physical and digital models and obtaining feedback between those. So from one image generation, we could clean that image, obtain a 3D model using a 2D to 3D model, and eventually use that for 3D print, which is giving us a different experience in while studying a potential option, and see and compare it in a physical medium, how this would feel or compare in reality to other options. Similarly, AI has support our model making efforts, just while trying to support the efforts from the model making teams. We could obtain massings that are not normally available online or open sourced, and turning into 3D print them, and make them part of our model making processes. And similarly with the facade studies, which have been definitely a topic we have been putting a lot of efforts to in the past month.
And I think last but not least, there's a lot of things we would like to show you actually on storytelling, because it is sort of beautiful opportunity to now, like Anna was saying, to use AI to then present the project, not necessarily from a bunch of renders or just from a technical point of view, but actually create a story of how the user gets to experience this design and this new architecture. So I think we have, since we started the journey, we have done more than like 22 different movies presenting projects using all AI. I mean, the project's been designed, of course, by us, but we're using, image to 3D, image to video, to then create an entire narrative around it. And that's something that was a little bit unexpected for us, but it's been a very fruitful exercise, because we saved a ton of money actually on creating videos, but also allow us to then get more personal with the client and to tell and to show different angles and different uses of the building that we could have done it before. And it's been very good to be able to create incredible movies, all the way to very fun and weird things we have done with projects, to just get more entertained with it, and then to just also have a little bit of fun in the process. So I think that's been a little bit in a nutshell some of the stuff we've been doing now, AI in general, but also using xfigura as a platform to help us enable 820 people at BIG to have access to this level of automation, to this level of exploration, and to this level of company intelligence, to then be able to augment the design explorations at BIG. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm mind blown by you guys have been producing and really pushing this idea. When I talk about AI, I like to consider it augmented imagination. I think more than we've seen so many applications of this, but you guys are really pushing that needle from the design dashboard. Find internal automation's incredible. From the storyboard perspective, really pushing beyond the single render, bringing a client along a journey. But also from the 3D perspective, I was very much, in many of my conversations, these image to mesh or image to 3D workflows are very much quite a bit of a challenge. And this week we launched Meshy as well in our product list, which is one of, let's say, the recent best ones. But you guys, even in the 3D realm, from facade studies, it seems like there's such an opportunity, even from a form or even from a larger architectural scale. And we're certainly going to see a lot more development in the next few months, just in that 3D space. So really appreciate all these insights. And I'll pass the word on to Zaha, make a brief introduction to Clemens. Clemens is a designer and AI researcher at Zaha Hadid Architects. Both are based in London. He's a graduate at the Technical University of Munich, and he focuses on the computational and AI innovation side of things at Zaha. Harry is an associate at Zaha. He's registered architect in the UK, and his work spans between complex international projects that merge AI workflows. He is one of the amazing power users at xfigura. So thanks so much for joining. I'll pass the word to both of you.
Hello, everyone. Hi, George. Thank you for the invite. It was very interesting to see the previous presentation. And I think from our side, we just want to share a bit how we've been using xfigura, how it's impacted our workflow. Maybe we can show a bit about the office. Clemens will kind of briefly present it. And then just so you know where we're coming from, where these tools are fitting into our existing workflow, and the kind of breakneck speed of adoption that we've seen within the office, especially now that we've unified it all into one unified interface in xfigura.
Exactly, a very quick introduction to the office. We have 500 staff, 200 of them have signed up to xfigura. Sit across London, Berlin, Beijing, Shenzhen, and Hong Kong, with our main base in London. And again, xfigura is really great because it's one of the first tools that we can really operate across the world. So it's not tied to a specific market or location, so we can work together, share these boards, and really collaborate with AI to get a really nice story out of it. We're a multidisciplinary practice working in all scales, from product scale up to master plans. We have different kind of like research or geometry explorations, always trying to ever advance the architecture. And there's also where AI comes in. We use it in research teams, sustainability, analytics and insight team for digital fabrication, our computational design group, and also in other groups, and not only tied really to architecture itself, but we see also, besides our research group, we see AI kind of like spanning across all of them, and also including our design teams, project teams, but also accountants, IT, and HR. And we have these kind of like 5 columns where we have obviously generative AI, where xfigura comes in the most, but also form shaping AI, evaluating AI, automation, and semantic AI, where xfigura might also go in the future. And Harry will now give a quick intro in how we use xfigura.
I think I'll very much mirror what was said before by the big team, is that we really enjoyed this unification of all the different AI models in one platform. This was the biggest breakthrough for us. As you mentioned before, we had just everyone was incredibly eager every time a new model came out, and I'm sure all of you have been kind of following the news. Every week we get a new, better video model, better image generator. And just being able to have that all unified into one canvas where we can all work together and use the latest models has been the biggest game changer for our side. And being able to see how, and I'll again mirror that same comment, that it lets us focus on design and how it actually impacts our workflows rather than discussing about tools and which one's happening. It just allows you to go through and test which tool is best for the job you're looking at. And I thought I'd quickly share the actual interface of xfigura and how we work within this collaboratively. So if some of you know the kind of whiteboard interface of Miro, you'll find this quite familiar. What it is a kind of open-ended canvas in which different nodes, and I'm sure George will go through the technical part of this in just a bit, but essentially each of these xfigura nodes operates within this, and you're able to see them all together within the same interface. And this has also been a great game changer, just being able to see how people work in different workflows, being able to share these boards with the team and work together and see which prompts work for others. We've realized that with AI generators, collaboration can be quite tricky because it's not just the visual image, but also the prompts. There's a logic to how you build it up to achieve what you're going for. And this also changes from model to model. So being able to actually just go in and copy. And I think this was in the early days of Midjourney when they first came out, the image generators, that they were all public. And you could see the prompts and copy what worked for you and what didn't work. So bringing that back has been a great success to make it more public and to also teach the best workflows and the best results. So I thought I'd show you here. We also had a similar project because these tools are so new. A lot of the projects are still very confidential, so we have to generate a little bit of a fake one. So forgive the design. This isn't the final form, but just as an example, I thought I'd show you an early stage competition workflow somewhat that we can. It's very simplified, but we tested some initial generations for a stadium, perhaps here, stadium design, working with different options of solidity, working with different prompts. So if you click in here, you can see that with a very simple prompt, you can create different outputs, and you can test different models within here. We found this also very advantageous every time a new one comes out, that you can test that and get different results from different models, also stylistically. So see here that we tested a few options, finally settling on one. And then the same image to kind of rendered output, which has worked very well for us in the past. One tip that I would give people when they're designing with these models is AI image generators have a really big problem with complexity and busyness. So what we figured out is that if you actually go and you reduce them down to almost working in a model like you would in a paper model in a traditional workflow or a 3D print model, that you can focus on the architecture a lot more without being distracted by materiality and context. So in this case, we were then able to go to very quickly into seeing it within a context. In these ways, it's also great. You can start loading it into an existing context as well, photoshopping them together, or even bringing them together inside the same image generator, testing different landscapes options. That's been a great help as well. Seeing how this, just how different landscape designs would impact the design, how it would sit in there with different volumes. And then one thing that for me personally as a designer, I mean, this is a very small part of what these tools can do, but just the facade design variations and being able to test what this looks at. I mean, I can remember the times when sitting there in Grasshopper trying to write these very complicated scripts for 2 weeks to try and analyze this incredibly complex geometries just to render it out for another week and then realize that that's not the direction we want to go. Being in this kind of time where you can simply visualize these and just from a design perspective, just cut out a lot of time from your design process here, just as a space frame. I mean, we're just playing around. This one here is purely just letting the model design what kind of things it sees. Then I think what's also been nice in recent iterations has been and this has worked well with the xfigura interface, is this kind of positioning one node after the next and working in a linear fashion, which was, I think, before Nano Banana not very possible because it would destroy your geometry or change it significantly. And here you can see that just looking at, we can do granular edits, such as just placing the field in, etc. Then going as far as, I mean, production-ready renders, right? Upscaling these to a level where if we maximize these, we see quite a lot of detail and granularity in there. This interface. The 3D models have been, I mean, they've already covered it quite a lot. I think this is where we're expecting to see the greatest progress in the future years, is this image to 3D and getting to a clean sub-D model, something that we can manipulate in 3D as well. Because I think where we're looking forward to the greatest updates in the future. And then, of course, the different images and different perspectives within the same project. So you can start to see how, from a competition production standpoint, this really starts to fill out different areas of the model, of our workflow, and augmenting it.
Yeah, I think one of the big game changers are, like, we use a lot of node-based systems like Grasshopper or Dynamo, and before image generation was like this kind of like a one-off, and now we can set up the workflows. It's very like non-destructive workflows, but we can, when we change the design, we can start from the beginning and loop through all these components to get similar end results, to also be able to compare the different options. Whilst other, let's say, image generation tools, they are always, you have to start from the beginning, and then it's very difficult to match the styles. And so there, xfigura came in really handy.
Awesome. This was such an incredible deep dive into your thinking in this process, and I can't wait till some of these NDA projects, some projects either get built or come out, because some of the work you've been doing has been really impressive, and along the same lines of the comments for the big team, you guys are really taking this storytelling idea and really communicating your projects in really new and interesting ways. So I agree, 3D in the next few months we'll certainly see a lot of development, possibly sub-D. Meshes will get more refined. We have segmentation workflows, multiple image to the 3D model workflows, but really the next step is making these editable surfaces architecture friendly, and you guys, maybe more than other practices, are more mesh friendly with your Maya workflows and optimization, mesh retopologizers and whatnot. So it's interesting to see how we're going to break past the individual mesh and make it, let's say, more accessible for all. So thank you both for sharing all this work. I'm inspired myself, and this is really mind-blowing work. So, awesome. So I'm going to take the floor and give you our side of. Oh yeah, you want to? We're going to take some questions right at the end, but I don't know if Herman, if anyone wanted to say some words, feel free to. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to take you guys, just give you a little insight into what we've been building, give you guys a few updates if you're already using xfigura, and then I'll end it with some resources in case you're interested in diving into the tool or learning more or partnering with us, of course. So as it's been pretty clear, we work super fast. We're a lean team, and we launch about 2 to 4 models every week. So this week it has been, I think as of in the next 3-4 hours, we're going to be launching the VO 3.1 model, and the Meshi model is actually live already. And last week we launched Sora 2, and we launched the Topaz image upscaler. We already have the video upscaler model. So these models are really changing, evolving. The use cases are morphing. So we're really trying to be flexible in creating and not isolating them all the workflows into one, but giving you that creative possibility of chaining the benefits of some models with other models all together. And we'll be developing more text models. If there are any model requests, we're always listening to you guys. Okay, I wanted to give you guys a glimpse into how this works under the scene, how the workflow actually works. And everything really boils down to the single node. Once you understand, and we've gone through many onboarding sessions with the teams at BIG, with Zaha and many other offices, once you understand the individual node, you then can access all of the models here. You can access number of images. You can simply make generations. Now, the real benefit is then controlling your access to models. So within each single node, think of it as a platform supercharged where you have access to this, the full repository of all these different models. And the inputs really vary between text, image, video, 3D, upscaling, in-painting. And to go more granular from a text perspective, which is very much at the core of so many of these workflows, you can obviously do text-to-text workflows. So use it like a ChatGPT, which is the baseline model, and we will integrate more here. You can enhance your prompt. It's fine-tuned for design and architecture. You can do image-to-text workflows like describing a past image, and then really push the needle in design. So we've seen some great examples. Really excited for the first one. It's clearly the mood boarding example, text to image. Now the real use case is taking a client brief, taking that project knowledge, and then packing it into an image-to-image workflow, either as a sketch, as a Rhino model, as a Revit model, any platform really, or even a physical model, and converting its representational type. You can in-paint regions similar to Photoshop's generative fill. You can enhance renders. You can think of it like taking an Enscape view and really boosting that image, and obviously relight scenes. The video perspective has certainly seen a lot of development. Let me just get something. Background audio. And so for video, we have text to video. You can put in a single image, a start frame or an end frame, and create a full animation. And that's really all you need to create a full sequence, a full narrative journey. So you can literally stitch the first frame with the end frame of the previous video and just keep going in a linear way. And then video to video, we're seeing the Runway Aleph model, which is starting to break the needle in how we can start prompting in a conversational way and editing individual elements of a video. And then for final production, clearly, we recently launched Topaz and some other video upscaler models. So super interesting within that. From the 3D perspective, this is certainly evolving. Currently, most 3D models that we host, there are about 5 or 6 at the moment, each with submodels. And Meshi, I'm curious to see what you guys produce. We've seen some really interesting results with it. So you can go from a single image to a mesh output. You can go from multiple images, first, second, third, or fourth, to that conditioned mesh output. That gives you a lot more control. Now, if you think of the single image input, has to make a prediction. It has to make that inference of what's behind that. Thanks, Harry. Thanks, Clemens. And from the 3D segmentation perspective, now what's really interesting, we're seeing a lot more development with these models. You can take a 3D model or take a single image and have a segmented 3D model. So extract each individual part, consider a facade system, the facade, the windows, the doors could all be segmented into different components. Now, this leads us into the inputs and the toolkits. And on the top, clearly, the inputs vary from image uploaders. You can just drag and drop onto the canvas. You can upload 3D models. We have that speckle integration. So SketchUp, Rhino, Revit, you can import any of your geometry. And we just built out in the last 2 weeks this Rhino plugin, which is just going to get better. And I would love your feedback. We've had some great feedback also from the big team. And then the toolkit's on the bottom. So you can resize images. This compositor is something we've just launched, and we would also love your feedback there. It's the idea of bringing Photoshop or this layering system to be able to then edit images with the control I know architects and designers need. So masking, remove background features, which we're launching in 2 hours, and then sketching with colors or just as a sketch. You can obviously train your own LoRa model, 20 to 50 images, it varies. You can add a tag and then consider it really useful from going from the hyper-realistic to the more abstract. And you can use this to train internal stylistic images or essentially claim your own style. And you can also import safe tensor files if you have them already trained, and you can export them off platform if you're using Comfy or some open source tools. And the final is a collaboration. It's Spell Shape. This is a glimpse of what's to come. So it's a text to parametric model where each with Stefan, and he's been a great collaborator. And this essentially lets you, from a single prompt, create different parameters to create a full 3D model. This is in its early stages. It is not, let's say, enterprise or working on a, let's say, production level, but it is an interesting glimpse into how we could start designing with the caveat that it has its limitation of the textual representation. We have launched, and every week it just gets better, an AI agent. So we have the node-based system, but we're really focused on accessibility and interface. And so with a single prompt, the videos. See. From a single prompt, you can actually conversationally generate images, and conceptually think of it as a text-to workflow. So with a single prompt, you imagine having a 5 to 10 minute conversation. You minimize the agent. Think of it like a ChatGPT or a Gemini, Google Studio, and then you'd be able to see the branching, the thinking, the process once you minimize that workflow. Apologies, the video doesn't seem to be running. But I can give you a live demo on that. So a lot of what we're building is really around this idea of design intelligence. It's fully multimodal. We have built that agent, and we're building out several new features from this agentic perspective. Interoperability is king, and the outputs go from this production ready, but also presentation ready. So we do have boards, presentation. Think of it again as that Miro, that Figma, that collaborative side of things. This is the latest Nano Banana model, and you can see such versatility in these models in creating, one, design options of facades with coherence, but two, you can also start seeing how we can create different stylistic representations. So can we go from the system to the module and then export that, create a 3D model, export that as an OBJ, and keep control over that model, make massing models, and really start accelerating that design process, which is not what we are focusing on. The creative focus is more to push the design needle, to keep architects in control, to really push the design discussion. It comes with the added benefit, clearly, of efficiency gains and speeds. And so this is conceptually the idea of bringing a client in a journey, what Anna described of changing the views, changing the angles. Can we paint a picture? Can we paint a scene of a project? Just launched this as a last one. We've just launched this Rhino plugin. It is currently in beta. It's considered a web viewer. So you can actually go in the package manager, type in xfigura and install, and you can simply send your image straight from Rhino, straight from your viewport, and then edit, iterate in a much more unified way. And this is going to see a lot more development in the coming weeks. So I'll give you a super quick demo, and then I want to open it up to you guys. But entering straight into xfigura, what you can do is simply log in with any of your emails. You also have free credits when you do log in for the first-time users, and you can click on the Get Started right here. Now, just for confidentiality, I've got many boards of many people here. But what I've done is I've opened a project, and you can see this accessible, this simple node-based system, which it all does boil down to the single node. So I'm clicking here on the left-hand side. I am generating a single image node. Once you literally understand this first, by double-clicking, we have shortcuts here. There's a lot of workflow, so I also like to press the space button. But what you can do here is say a tower in Dubai with purple cladding. And so enter a prompt, click generate, and then run the model. And that's as simple as it gets. Once you understand this, you can then continue your journey, import your own images, edit this geometry, and then, of course, choose the model you want to use, scroll from here, and then really create a full workflow, which you can save, right-click as templates, and share these internally with teams, and really build up some internal automations, or even teach these within, use these within an academic context. We've really had a great time onboarding lots of universities globally on how to use these workflows, on how to push the design discussion and increase or discuss at least that fine line, that agency we have within this creative process. And if anyone is interested in testing out this agent, I'll go into dark mode. You can see right here, Visione, and we're saying a tower in London. And then we're generating the node on the canvas, and you can keep iterating, prompting, testing, enhancing your prompt, getting model suggestions. You can do a lot of different things right in here. Okay, I'm going to leave that as the demo and end with just 2-3 more slides just to give you a glimpse of some resources, and I will open it up to all. We have certainly been partnering with many firms. For those interested, feel free to contact us at info@xfigura.ai. We do offer introductory pilot programs. We have a centralized credit pool, the system that Herman was describing, and data security is very much central to what we're building up. So more than happy to share, or the team also to share some resources and answer any questions you might have. And from the academic side, it's been really thrilling. I do have an academic hat on between UPenn and Harvard. So it's been really fun to teach AI and architecture, but also bring on board these universities and have professors really engage with these tools and teach them within the classroom. And for any students listening, do email us with your EDU email, and we can give you a 30% discount code on any of the memberships on xfigura. If anyone's interested in the joining the newsletter or getting more updates from us, feel free to subscribe on with the code on the right, or find us on all of these socials. Now with that, I'd love to thank everyone for joining us. I will stick around for a few minutes, for 10 minutes for Q&A, but thanks everyone for being here. It's been a real pleasure. So I'm happy to feel free to unmute, to put your comments on the side. I've been seeing there's been a bit of activity, but I will let you guys potentially actually raise your hand, and you can unmute. We can keep it more casual in the last 10 minutes. Happy to be a resource to you guys. Thanks again, Herman and Anna. If any questions are for them, I'd love, feel free to ask them too.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. It was extremely interesting. Hi, my name is Dor, by the way. I wondered if there's any way to further edit 3D models after we use after we create them in xfigura. Can we segment them, but not just segment them, but also to merge the layers and to keep edit them as we can do in Tripo, for example? If you can elaborate on that, I would be happy to hear.
Yeah, it's a great question. We're certainly interested in actively looking into the space of what happens after. The idea now is currently for you export the OBJ or the 3D file output, and then you use whatever software you have. But we're certainly interested in pushing the needle. I will show you briefly, and I believe Stefan is in the call, as Stefan Kukarski, apologies for mispronouncing your last name, but he's been a great collaborator, and this is a glimpse into the free node of Spell Shape, where you can put a text prompt, a structural grid of a mid-story tower in London. And this does introduce, from a single prompt, you're able to get, not always perfect, there are hallucinations within this, but you're starting to be able to edit geometry actually in real time. And from each single prompt, you're able to then edit, move, rotate, and then change, for example, the beams, or maybe create a simple, of course, not yet coordinated structural logic internally. So there are mechanisms we are actively working on, but at the moment, in this current moment, you cannot edit that segmented model, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I also actually have a question. My name is Anas. Speaking from Munich. Amazing work, by the way, George. Last time we've spoken, it was 3 weeks ago, and like everything has changed in these 3 weeks. Like, hats off.
We get a lot. Thanks so much.
Actually, my question is kind of would be probably directed towards maybe Herman and maybe Clemens, since probably they know the EU, like the EU AI Act, and how are you actually implementing this in Europe? Since mostly all of open source AI tools are not actually like they're not allowed to be used in Europe. Has this actually been used in praxis and like in real life, or are we just exploring?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think I will separate it into two, right? There is one thing is what the tools and the processes we tested from an R&D point of view in sort of like outside projects with theoretical and abstract sort of ideas. And then the other thing is what we deploy to the firm, right? So, I mean, that's also one of the important things on xfigura, because they allow us to block or unblock certain type of models that we, after studying the T's and C's and, you know, how it treats the data, then, I mean, to be honest, we block 80% of the models, actually, because after checking how it deals with information, becomes very risky for us. So through the enterprise, will allow us to block all the open source. We actually are constrained to very specific ones to make sure that we always protect the integrity of the data and the information and all the things that actually sometimes it doesn't even belong to us because the client already paid for it, right? So we're very diligent into that, and it's a very good question that we constantly have to monitor. You know, what are the regulations of the different countries, but also of the different models, most importantly, right?
Mm-hmm. That's mainly the main issue actually that we're facing here. I mean, the research and development department, we have been testing xfigura, we have been testing a lot of AI tools, but the problem is deploying them actually into real world project data, like into real sites, into actually real room programs and real actual projects.
Yes, and there is also, just to add one thing, because we have multiple offices, actually some models come first on the US and they're not allowed on the European Union, right? So then with Anna, we're like, cool, let's test Sora 2. We get to see and actually use the different geographies to maybe further open the umbrella of exploration. But it's a very good point, and we have to be very careful about those T's and C's.
Okay.
It's a really great question. And for you and us specifically, for that, from the enterprise people in the room, the dashboard gives you that full control. So every company has their own internal policies, their own comfort levels. And so it's really up to, our end user agreements are such that that final decision, it gives you that final versatility. We do host our own models, but a large part are with these third parties. Any last questions? I see there's a lot in the chat, but I'll leave it to anyone who wants to unmute.
I had a question. I think I put it in the chat, but if you have a preset aesthetic that a company likes, and then you generate a model using AI, how do you apply that preset? Like, is it as simple as adding two images and connecting? Like, if you have an aesthetic of the kind of facade or something that you like, do you just connect it to your generated image and that makes it similar? Or?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's multiple ways of approaching it. The models are getting very versatile, so you can actually do a style transfer from a single image, and you can do essentially it's your base image, and then I'll briefly show you actually. Or you can train your own LoRa model. So you can say, for example, here, the starting point was from a Rhino model to an image, to an upscaled image. In this case, I'm going a little bit into the weeds, but you have an input image and your second node is other, so style, for example. And I'm going to apply this style onto this image. And then you can enlarge it. You can swipe between the two, so you have the before and then your after. It's great for the hyper-realistic, but it's also great for more abstract, more conceptual work in those concept stages. So it's really up to you, and you can, of course, use the LoRa training node. It is literally a drag and drop. This is 20 to 50 images. When you're able to train it on our enterprise model, it's 30 to 90 minutes, or Turbo is literally 5 minutes training, and you are running this model on the Flux model for image to image. So for example, here you would see the Flux enterprise, and you can see my trained LoRa models, and you can apply those to images.
That's so cool. Okay, thank you.
Of course. Last quick question, or we're gonna close today.
Hello, am I audible? Yeah, my question is, I'm an architecture student who is exploring AI-driven design tools like xfigura, Comfy UI, and various workflows like image to image and image to 3D. What I'm curious is, do firms like BIG or Zaha Hadid consider AI proficiency as an added advantage when I apply for internships?
I will let Anna answer this one.
It's a great question. I think eventually AI skills will be totally naturalized within the scope of design skills that any architecture student will need to bring to a firm. I think at this point, I would say yes, they're valuable, but at some point, I think they will be just expected. Especially since I think like learning curves are becoming softer, right? Just 3 months ago, we had to deal with, I don't know, 30 different platforms in an office and worrying about how to engage a group of architects to each of them. But like tools as xfigura, and I think the general trend of AI tools, not only in architecture, is just to merge into integrative platforms that let us be multimodal in a very fast manner. So I think eventually will be expected, and it will become like a naturalized part of your design workflows.
Okay, if it's like my following question is, what's the best way to present those AI skills effectively in a portfolio?
I think that question it's quite tricky, right? AI somehow like blurs a bit reality and what's artificially made digitally, but I think just I think more than selecting like shiny images or highly captivated visualizations, I think it's more about showing how critical you are about how you use a tool, what you produce, and what should be picked within your design process and your design thinking, right? You don't want somebody who just randomly uses tools and produce wonderful images. You want a great thinker that can bring good ideas into the office, right? So more than just showcasing or worrying about laying out images, I would say, how can you communicate? I will encourage you to think how you would communicate, how artificial intelligence merges in your design processes and builds upon your own ideas and your own interests, right?
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Anna. Thank you, everyone, for joining. These were really incredible questions. It's been a real pleasure to be with you. I will stick around for the next 15 minutes, but we'll close officially the session. Thanks, Herman. Thanks, Anna. Thank you all for joining. Have a wonderful day or evening. Ciao a tutti.